Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your girl Maya K, and we are back with another video. So today, what I want to talk about is some encouragement for those who are on a fitness journey, but you're not seeing the external results that you desire. Now, just a quick disclaimer, the dog may dog, okay? So you're just going to have to bear with me, but today's video will be short. So I want to encourage those women, especially women of God, who have been working out, taking care of their bodies, eating right. And I'm not talking about a week. I'm talking about over a lengthy period of time. And because of your like external goals that you may have, I want to lose 20 pounds and I want to fit into this dress by the holidays, or whatever it was that you set out to do. I know sometimes that when you look, you don't see that, and you're a little bit challenged in that, and you're a little bit frustrated in that, and you're wondering, why is the effort that I'm putting in, I'm following all of these fitness gurus, I'm taking all of the advice, I am eating right, like I'm not just working out, I'm actually doing everything that I'm supposed to do to be a good steward over my body and my health, but it's not showing up that way, it's not looking that way. So God, what am I supposed to do? And listen, I am not here to feed you fluff. I know what it's like to work out over an extended period of time, to eat right over an extended period of time, to do all the things, to take care of your body and not see the external results. But I believe some of the things that I'm going to share with you today and some of the tips that I'm going to give is actually going to help you and encourage you on your journey. So let's jump in. The first tip, so this is how to stay encouraged when your fitness journey looks complicated. Okay. And I purposely chose looks complicated because it can look complicated on the outside, but it does not mean that it's complicated on the inside. And that is actually my first tip. Remember the goal. You have to remember that the goal for your fitness journey is not having a flat stomach, not being a size 2, though we may want that. It is more important for you to remember it is about health and stewardship. Whenever you're working out, and I posted this on TikTok last night, I'm recording this video on Tuesday, December 16th. And I was just working out after dinner last night. And I was encouraging people that, listen, externally, you may not be seeing what you want. But God is faithful, because as long as your blood work comes back right, as long as your tests come back clear, as long as things pop up as negative, when the doctor may say, hey, we feel like your sugar is a little high and you may be getting close to diabetes, but it comes back that everything is normal. Those are the things that we should be aiming for, to make sure that we are being a good steward over our body and our health in such a way that we can run our race that's set before us. So being a size 2 does not necessarily mean you are healthy, and it also does not necessarily mean that you're able to run your race effectively. Having a flat stomach is cute for pictures, but we're not doing this for aesthetics. We are doing this for eternal value and to be able to be used by God and wherever He sends us, okay? And so I get it. If you're walking up a flight of stairs and you're like, I get winded too easily, then work on that. But if you are able to go up and down some stairs, and baby, you 180, but you're fit and you're healthy and you doing your thing, and you're able to go up the flight of stairs a few times without having to stop, then you have to look at that as a win. And sometimes I think where we get caught off guard is because we are following too many fitness channels and things like that. So I actually had this as number 3, but I'm going to move it up to number 2. To protect your heart from images that make you compare. So I think it's okay to follow some fitness channels that inspire you to work out. For instance, I have been doing Grow with Joe for a whole year. And baby, Grow with Joe be working out pregnant. It blows my mind, because of course she'll gain weight during her pregnancy, but then all of a sudden, baby, she be popping back looking fierce, and you see her journey. She talked about recently losing 50 pounds postpartum. And so we're watching this woman look good. We see her whole process. And so there's nothing wrong with being encouraged and inspired, especially when you see someone's process, right? But at the same time, if those things are causing you to despise your own journey or to feel some kind of way and you are comparing yourself, then you have to say, maybe I need to guard my heart and unfollow some of these channels. You can write down the wisdom that you got from them in the previous season and then keep on going. You understand what I mean? You don't have to follow every fitness guru. You also don't know, and I'm not speaking about her, but just in general, some of the pictures you're seeing on social media, they're curated. Okay, so people are showing you their fitness routine, but what did they look like 3 years ago? And they may not always do that. One of my favorite pages to follow is Kick Weight with Keisha, because I love how she showed her journey. I mean, it was phenomenal, and she teaches wisdom, right? But I'm only doing Grow with Joe, and I follow Kick Weight with Keisha. I'm not following every fitness guru out there. So you have to guard your heart against content that'll cause you to despise your own journey or even to get out of position. Oh, let me try that. And the problem is you're jumping on too many trends as opposed to just asking God for wisdom. One of the greatest things that I ever did was ask God for wisdom with my fitness journey. And for about 1.5 years, I did Burpee Girl. And then over the last year, I've been doing Grow with Joe. So all of that factors in. So then third, you got to keep showing up, but give yourself grace, right? So one of my favorite things is I love Snickers, I love M&Ms, and I'm a cookie and chip girl. Not really an ice cream girl, not really a cake girl. So I minimize how much I buy this stuff, but I also don't deprive myself because I eat very healthy breakfasts and lunch and dinner. So sometimes my snacking is a little intense. Right. And so, for example, I've made adjustments. Mom and I went to Paris for 10 days at the end of September. And so what I did was I loved the breakfast that they had at the hotel. It was very vegetarian based, chia seeds, Greek yogurt, sliced cucumbers and mangoes. They had me hyped. So I came back and I decided that for a few days each week, instead of having my normal bagel with egg white and turkey bacon with cheese, I would start doing Greek yogurt with chia seeds and fruit and granola more often. So about 3 days a week, I have that for breakfast instead of a sandwich. So small changes make a difference. You know what I mean? Taking the bagel out a few days a week. I'm not saying eliminate all carbs and no bread, but we do know when you are trying to lose weight and you are trying to get fit, they usually tell you high protein, low sugar, low carbs, right? So you have to pray about that as well. I don't eat necessarily a lot of bread. So to me, it wasn't like I had too much, but I wanted to make the small adjustment. Typically for lunch, I'm having a tuna and avocado salad every day. And I use romaine lettuce, or I'll buy the salad kits and I'll have the kale or whatever type of kit it is. But I make sure to add an avocado every day to my salad. I use sugar-free dressing, or sometimes I use regular Italian dressing. I'm not a fan of balsamic vinaigrette in certain dressings, so I'm not going to make everything so anal. But I am making sure that I am paying attention to what I eat. So work out and eat healthy, but be graceful towards yourself, right? So we're talking about tip number 3. Grace matters. When I'm eating my Snickers, I do not feel guilty. Okay, because I buy the little bite-sized ones. Not at all. When I'm eating my sun chips, I don't feel guilty. You know, I think it is a matter of, and that's probably why I have so much freedom and confidence. I've had women say, man, if I had your confidence. And I'm like, this came from just years of constantly working on my identity in Christ as opposed to what I think it should be and how I look to the world. Like, I literally can walk into a room and as thick as I am, just go in a room, be confident, and walk in and command attention. And it's not because I'm a size 2 or a model size, and it's not because all of my acne scars are gone. It's not because you know that I have on something that accentuates my curves. I can walk in a sweatsuit with no makeup like I am right now. This is one of the reasons why I did this video with no foundation on. Typically, I wear foundation, have my eyebrows, fixed up, and of course lip. But I said, no, I want to show up in the fullness of who I am, because I believe when you're being encouraged on your fitness journey, this translates to how you show up every day when you're not working out. And so extend yourself grace, right? Sometimes you may need to show up without the makeup. You may need to show up without all of the stuff on, just so you can start to love yourself for who you are more, embrace yourself for who you are more without all the extra stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're struggling with your confidence, I would encourage you to do that. Start to show up in the fullness of who you are, externally, internally. Let your light shine, and let people see you. And I remember years ago, like when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I wasn't even wearing that much makeup. And I would be like, wow, like men are really kind of drawn to me. Though the girl who might have been nearby who had the inches and the makeup on. And, someone told me, like, Maya, you have a natural glow. This was a woman who told me this. She says, you have a natural glow and your confidence really is like, off the charts, not in a cocky way, but you do know who you are. And that actually will like take you so much further than being a size 2, and thinking that you need to be that for your confidence. And then lastly, this is tip number 4, ask God for divine strategy. Why do we leave God out of the area of our lives where he knows us best? He created our bodies, right? So he knows us best. His word even talks about we were bought with a price. That's 1 Corinthians, how he paid for us with a price. And then Romans 12:1 and 2, which is actually a verse that I wanted to read. It says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. So in this verse, Romans 12:1, God is highlighting to you that you present your body as a living sacrifice. So if he goes as far and Paul is telling us to do this, then how much more should we say, God, what is my number that you want me to weigh? I literally wrote this down. I was reading a book by Lisa Bevere, and she talked about how she asked God for her number. She wrote it down, and when she met that number, that was her focus. And I asked God for my healthy number. I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to forgive the dog. I asked God for my healthy number back in 2023, and the Lord literally revealed to me what it was. And I could say it because I talk about it in an article that I did that talked about my fitness journey in my magazine, Girls Anthem. And so the Holy Spirit literally revealed to me what it was, and it's 165. And that is my aim. It's not trying to be a certain size or getting back to this high school size. It is more or less that my focus is on being healthy for the kingdom. And so that's it. When you ask God for strategy, also ask him for your number. What is the healthy number for me, God? What do you want me to weigh for my race? So with that, I also want to remind you that sometimes with you working on your weight and asking God for strategy and wisdom on fitness and health, I have learned that I'm naturally thick, and that's also what sets me free. The Lord was like, Maya, you're just thick, right? Now, yes, I've gotten thicker in the context of what I weighed in my 20s. I don't weigh now at 41, but the Lord was just like, you are naturally thick. I was always a little bit thicker in ballet class. I was always a little bit thicker when I was taking dance, and even when I took some fitness classes at Temple. And so, when you realize that, then you understand, like, I can't change my frame. And when I think of someone who walks in this confidently and strongly, it's like Queen Latifah. And I think she talked about this a few years ago. She was just like, look, this is my frame. But when you look at her, she's not, what people would look at and consider. I don't like using this word, but just bear with me. People would not look at her and say, oh, she's fat, or, they don't see that. It's actually, she's built. She's just, it's her structure, right? It's her frame. And I think about that with even the movie Just Right, how, Paula Patton's character got the man first and all of these things. And I remember when Queen Latifah's character, she said, her name was Leslie Wright in the movie, and she said to her mom, the girl who was supposed to get a guy like that got him, right? And so she had some insecurities, but using that as an example, like, I think that we have to remember that we are not called, especially as disciples of Christ, to look like the girls in the movies, right? Or to look like these girls in the magazine. We are called to steward our bodies well, to be healthy, to be fit, and to show up the way God tells us to show up. So in summary, number one, remember the goal. It's about your health. Is your blood work clear? Is all of your tests coming back right? Is everything showing up that you're healthy on the inside? Because you can be healthy on the outside, or you can look fit and healthy on the outside, but not be internally healthy. And this also points to your mental health. You know, I know a lot of size 4 and 6s that are not mentally healthy. So remember the goal. Number two, protect your heart. Guard your heart from images and pages and platforms that may pull you out of position. Number three, keep showing up, but extend yourself grace. Give yourself the grace that you need to show up and to not feel guilty about the moments that you have, whatever your favorite thing is, as long as you're consistently healthy. Your meals should be healthy. Like, for instance, my dinners are even very healthy. So just make sure that you are, I'm like 85% clean. That's what I tell people. Clean eating, healthy eating. And lastly, ask God for divine strategy. So I want to close with this scripture, 1 Timothy 4:8. For bodily exercise profits a little, but godliness is profitable for all things, having promise of the life that now is, and of that which is to come. And what was highlighted is not saying that Paul was not saying exercise is not important, but what he's saying is while you're focusing on that, it really profits you little. But our main focus should be on godliness and the eternal, our eternity, you know, where we're headed. And so just keep that in mind as a disciple of Christ, that yes, we may want to look a certain way, we do want to feel good about ourselves, but our fitness journeys should not be mimicking the world's fitness journey. It's about asking God for our strategy, our insight, taking care of our bodies, stewarding them well, and doing what God has called you to do. And so again, those verses were 1 Timothy 4:8 and Romans 12:1 and 2 in the New King James Version. Be encouraged. Again, you're going to have to forgive the dog. I'm telling you, if I waited for the perfect moment to record my videos, you guys wouldn't get one. Unfortunately, that's just what it is for the type of dog that is here. You just wouldn't get it. You know, I can wait for the perfect moment. I try my best. But for me to stay on schedule, I'm going to need you guys to bear with me until God moves me on to my new city, and to turn on closed captioning. When I do upload it to, when I edit the videos, I do try to put it on the maximum volume. And so bear with me, but I was not going to start this video over. Okay, love you guys, and I will see you next week with a new video.